Want to install Ubuntu 24.04 alongside Windows 10, but worried about losing your files? Don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, I'll show you how to safely dual boot Ubuntu 24.04 with Windows 10, step by step. No data loss, no complications. Let's dive in. Before we start, here's what you'll need. Tip: use a fast USB drive for a quicker setup. So the first thing first, let's create a separate partition for the Ubuntu installation. To do that, right-click on the Start menu and click on Disk Management. Once the Disk Management window opens, select your system hard drive and locate a partition that can be shrink. In my case, the D drive has enough space for installing Ubuntu. So I am selecting this partition. Once you find the desired partition, simply right-click on it and click on Shrink Volume. Once the shrink window opens, enter your desired size in megabyte format. Make sure the entered size is at least 30 gigabytes. After entering the desired size, simply click on Shrink. As you can see, the 30 gigabytes of unallocated space has now appeared. Let's move on to the next step. Now we need to download the ISO file for Ubuntu 24.04. To do this, simply open your web browser and search for Ubuntu Download. Open the first link, which should be Ubuntu's official website, ubuntu.com. Click on Accept All Cookies to allow the website to function properly. Now click on Download 24.04 LTS to start the download. The file size is approximately 6 gigabytes. Wait for a few seconds and the file will start downloading automatically. Now wait for the file to download successfully. Now we need to download the Rufus USB tool. To do this, open your web browser and search for Rufus. Now open the first link, which is rufus.ie. Scroll down and click on Rufus 4.6.exe to download it. Once the download is complete, open Rufus and proceed with the next steps. After opening Rufus, select the USB device that you want to make bootable for the Ubuntu installation. Always remember to select the correct USB device. If you choose a USB drive that contains important data, it will be deleted. So always verify the USB device before selecting it. Here's how you can verify it. As you can see, in my case, I have a USB labeled Ubuntu 24.0, and in Rufus, the same label appears. This confirms that I have selected the correct USB device. Now in the boot selection menu, select Disk or ISO image, recommended. Click on Select. Navigate to the location where you saved the Ubuntu 24.04 ISO file and select it. Once this is done, you need to select the partition scheme according to your system. You can follow these steps to check your system's partition scheme. To check the partition scheme, first right-click on the Start menu and select Disk Management. Once the Disk Management window is open, select your system hard drive, right-click on it, and then click on Properties. Click on the Volumes tab and look for Partition Style. It will be either MBR, Master Boot Record, or GPT, GUD Partition Table. So in my case, the system partition scheme is GPT, so I am selecting GPT in Rufus. You should select the partition scheme according to your system. Once this is done, you don't need to make any changes to the settings. Simply click on Start. Now select Write in ISO image mode, recommended, and click OK. Again, verify that you have selected the correct USB drive. This is your last chance. Once confirmed, click OK. Now the image writing process has started. It will take some time, so please be patient and do not close Rufus or remove the USB drive until the operation is completed successfully. Once you see the Ready message, it means our USB drive is successfully prepared for installing Ubuntu 24.04. Restart your PC and follow the next steps. If you have a Lenovo CPU, you'll see a prompt to interrupt the startup. Once interrupted, instructions will appear on the screen to help you select the bootable device. This is the easiest way to do it. If you have a different motherboard manufacturer, you might see a similar prompt, or you may need to press the specific boot menu key during startup. After pressing the specific boot key, you need to select the bootable USB device. Here's what you need to consider. If your system has an MBR partition scheme, select Legacy USB. If your system has a GPT partition scheme, select UEFI USB. After selecting the USB device, simply press the Enter key, and the system will start booting into the Ubuntu installation. Once the GRUB bootloader appears, select Try or Install Ubuntu and press the Enter key. Once you see the Ubuntu boot logo on the screen, wait for a while. It will automatically start the Ubuntu installer. The installer has loaded. First, select your desired language. After selecting the language, click on Next. If you need any assistance, such as vision, hearing, typing, or pointing device adjustments, you can customize these settings using Ubuntu accessibility options. I am not customizing any of these settings, so I am skipping this step by clicking on Next. Now we need to select the keyboard layout. By default, Ubuntu detects the correct layout, but if you're using a different keyboard, you can manually select it from the list. Once done, click on Next. If you want to enhance the installation with additional software, you can connect to Wi-Fi or Ethernet. However, this step is optional, and skipping it won't affect the installation process. Here, select Install Ubuntu since we are proceeding with the installation on our machine. Once selected, click Next to proceed. On the next screen, you'll be asked, how do you want to install Ubuntu? You have two options, interactive or automated installation. Since we want a hassle-free setup, we are selecting interactive installation. When prompted, what apps would you like to start with? You'll see two options, default and extended selection. We are choosing extended selection because this option includes additional software like office tools, utilities, and a web browser, making the system more functional right from the start. Select extended selection and click Next to continue. This step is optional. It allows you to install third-party software for Wi-Fi, graphics, and other hardware support. If you want better compatibility, you can select this option. Otherwise, you can skip it by clicking Next to continue. At this step, you'll be asked, how do you want to install Ubuntu? You'll see three options, install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager, erase disk and install Ubuntu, manual installation. We are proceeding with Install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager, as this will let us dual boot both operating systems. Select this option and click Next to continue. Now it's time to set up your account. You'll need to enter the following details, your name. This will be the system's username. Computer name, the name your computer will use on the network. Username, this will be your login name. Password, create a secure password for your account. Re-enter password, confirm the password by typing it again. Once you've entered all the details, click Next to continue. Now you need to select your region and time zone. If your system is connected to the internet, Ubuntu will automatically detect your current time zone. If your system is not connected, you'll need to select it manually from the drop-down menu. Alternatively, you can click on the map to choose your location. Since I am from India, I am selecting India on the map. Once done, click Next to continue. Finally, review your choices to ensure everything is set up correctly. Double-check the installation type, selected apps, and user details. If everything looks good, click on Install to begin the installation process. Now, sit back and wait while Ubuntu installs on your system. Once the installation is completed, you'll see the Restart Now option. Simply click on Restart Now to reboot your system and complete the installation process. Once you see a message like Remove the installation medium and press Enter key, remove the USB device from your system. Press the Enter key to proceed. Let's verify if Ubuntu 24.04 is installed successfully. Once the system restarts, you should see the GRUB boot menu. Oh no! It looks like we need to configure the GRUB bootloader because our system is directly booting into Windows 10 instead of showing the boot menu. To fix this, follow these steps. Boot into Windows 10, open Command Prompt as administrator. Type the following command and press Enter key to check the installed bootloaders. You can also find this commands in the video description below. If you find Ubuntu in the boot entries when running the command, this means Ubuntu is installed, but we need to configure the GRUB bootloader to make it appear at startup. Now enter the following second command to configure the bootloader and press Enter key. Sorry, the command isn't visible due to accidentally opening the Start menu while entering it. But don't worry, I've already pinned the command in this video's description. Once you've entered the command, press the Enter key and restart your PC. Congratulations! The GRUB bootloader is now successfully configured, and you can boot into both Ubuntu and Windows 10. Now let's check both operating systems one by one. First, let's boot into Ubuntu. Select Ubuntu from the GRUB boot menu and press Enter. Now enter the password you set during installation and log into Ubuntu. Once logged in, you'll see the Ubuntu desktop confirming that the installation was successful. Now let's check if we can boot into Windows. Restart your PC. When the GRUB bootloader appears, select Windows Boot Manager from the list, press Enter and wait for Windows to load. Great, your dual boot setup is now successfully configured. You can switch between Ubuntu and Windows anytime from the GRUB bootloader. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tech tutorials. See you in the next video.